if anybody pre-ordered Pretend Plumber and would like to be in the running for, actually, I should say, anybody who pre-ordered Pretend Plumber will get a free copy of sister publication from Inlandia Books, Ladybug, which also just was released. So please type the secret word into the chat and we will keep track of you. And that secret word is mitzvah. So you didn't hear it from me, but do put it in the chat, and it is on the honor system. I'm not going to ask for a receipt. If you say you ordered it, you ordered it, but please don't abuse that. And thank you to everybody else. And I'm going to turn this over to our lovely hostess with the mostest, Stephanie.
Thank you so much, Katie. And thank you so much, everybody. It is so amazing and fabulous to see you all here, celebrating the publication of my second novel, Pretend Plumber. And I'll say more about that soon. I just want to say a little bit about how great it is that we're all here. I wish that we were together, but one of the blessings and the curse of COVID is being able to gather together from so many different parts of the United States. We've got Napa, we've got New York, we've got Portland, we've got the left coast representing big time Lopez Island, Whidbey Island, the Seattle area, Edmonds, and Northern California is in the house. And we've got wonderful, wonderful representatives from Southern California, which is, of course, where the novel takes place. Before we go any further, I just want to say that we have a number of experts here. So should you require a consultation during this program, you have many people to consult with. We have at least 3 magical realists in the house. We have 2 rock musicians. We have We have 3.5 lawyers. We have a brace of poets. And to quote the marvelous Mrs. Maisel, everybody, we have the rabbi. So should you require a consult, spiritual, poetical, magical, realistical, rock and rollical, you have someone you have people to reach out to in the chat, and I hope you'll use the chat function to also show your love for our readers. I love listening to other voices reading my work. That's just such an amazing thing for me. So without further ado, I am going to cede the floor to the person who is going to read us chapter 1 of Pretend Plumber, and that is the lovely and talented Los Angelina Lena Grossman. And I'm going to stop talking and ask Lena to take it away.
Hello, everyone. Wow, I'm having some stage fright all of a sudden, even though it's Zoom, so I don't really know how to feel about all of this. Stephanie, Mazel Tov, congrats. Love your glasses as always. It's wonderful to see you and everyone. Larry, hello. So I guess Los Angelina, it's great. Okay, well, I will get started with Pretend Plumber chapter 1. So I guess for those of you on Stephanie's email list, you have already heard my voice. So now you get the pleasure of hearing it again in person, live. Okay, chapter 1. The trouble below starts with the floor. Tommy and Sophia are cleaning our small but location perfect Hancock Park, Los Angeles house when Toby notices that a marble floor tile has come loose. He always notices stuff, Tommy does. He should have been an architect or a contractor or a subcontractor, but instead he has this job with Sophia cleaning rich people's houses, although we aren't rich. But it's true. My mom and dad have enough money to hire a husband and wife team to come in twice a week, and we have a cook some days. So yeah, I guess we're pretty rich if you think about it. I mean, relatively speaking. But Tommy says to me, because I'm the only one home and Olia is cooking and can't speak English, so it comes down to me because I'm not a maniac like my mother and father. A bit of an unfair designation, but what do you expect from an overly educated, mature, only child adolescent? Yes, I know I'm about to graduate from 8th grade, and I've had my bat mitzvah, and I'm turning 14 in July, and Mazel Tov, you are a woman. But still, really, I'm just a kid, for God's sake, so give me a break. And anyway, the floor. What was I going to say? Tommy was going to say? Right, here it is. Tommy says, Saracine. I know, I have a weird French name. Do you see that the floor tile is loose? No, I say. And then I say, yeah, maybe I noticed. Also, I have something called dyspraxia, which means I'm physically uncoordinated, have issues with organization, and I have short-term memory problems, AKA, I don't remember things sometimes. But I did notice something was wrong with the floor. When I was watching Pan's Labyrinth with Charlot, I know his name is weirdly French too, he got up and then I got up also because I had to remind him not to use my bathroom, but to use my parents because I don't like anyone using my bathroom. Long story. When I stood and walked away from the Pottery Barn sofa that we got because it's casual and the sofa cover could be machine washed, I felt one of the floor tiles wiggle, making a tipping sound, not a creak, but rather a groan and a sliding whoosh that a concrete door makes in order to reveal a secret lair that Dr. No has in one of those old James Bond movies. Is this important? I say to Tommy, which sounds rude, but it isn't because one of the things I've learned from my therapist, Dr. Gregorian, is that I have to signal to people that they need to be really clear if they want me to remember something. One way to do that is to say, is this important? With the implication being, why? Please explain, which Tommy does. It means there's something wrong below, he says to me. Something is wrong, I almost tell him. Below the surface, there is a lot wrong. But instead, I say, what do you mean? The pipes, he says. Oh, I say, that's for my mom and dad to deal with. But your parents aren't home right now, Saracine, says Tommy. So you'll need to tell them what I said. Will you remember? Of course I will, I say, which means I probably won't because this information does not sound very important ultimately. And that means I'll probably file it away in the forget me zone of neurodivergence, which a lot of famous people now claim to have so that they can have an excuse for being disorganized and creative. Dr. Gregorian, who lives in Santa Monica and who used to be a philosophy professor, but decided that university was boring, so he went back to med school and became a doctor, even though he's old, tells me that dyspraxia makes life hard for me sometimes. But he repeatedly tells me I'm super valuable, even though testing reveals that I'm only of average intelligence, because I have a genuine empathy. I'll add that I also have a talent for languages, a love of acting, and what someone on the original circa late 1950s Perry Mason calls the gift of the gab. Also, I'm super tall, and that's handy for reaching high shelves. And I have a super fast metabolism, so I can eat and eat, which is lucky because I'm always hungry. Although, come to think of it, I do remember some things. Like I just remembered all of that information that I said just now. I'm about to sit down and start the movie when I realize that Charlot has been in the bathroom quite a long time. So I go and knock on the door and I ask that classic question, which is, what happened? Did you fall in? I don't know why, but saying that very odd old joke always makes me laugh. And it usually makes Charlot laugh. But this time there's silence. I bang on the door again and repeat my all the time getting less droll question until Charlot's voice says, I think you better come look at this. I'm not sure I like that suggestion coming from someone who's been sitting on the toilet for 15 minutes, but we are friends, deep friends, adopted sibling friends, because we've known each other since elementary school, and we both like to pretend and dress up and act things out. And Charlot can really play guitar and sing. So I say, okay, and I turn the gold handle of our bathroom door and I walk in. Good news. Charlot has his pants on and isn't sitting on or kneeling in front of the toilet. He's standing there and pointing to the bathtub. Bad news. The tub is filled with dirty water, sort of green-brown. Jesus, I say. He says, it's just there bubbling up from below. Add to that a smell like rotten eggs and peeling paint and garbage and, well, not surprisingly, a bit like shit. Tommy comes in. That's what I'm talking about, he says. You need to call your parents. I don't want to call them. Dad is very busy practicing law, and in his spare time studying Torah and the New Testament with famous professors at the Hebrew Unified University of American Rabbis, here to make the world better and not worse. Sorry. Which is in Santa Monica and hard to get to using mass transit. But if you bring your car, you'll never find parking because Santa Monica is so true. While mom is equally busy helping to run an art gallery that focuses uniquely on collages right near the Goethe Institute in the Miracle Mile. And as a result, she lives almost exclusively in an abstract world of ideas while speaking German, because most of the collages are German. This means she tends to go hide in her office at the gallery when you tell her there's a problem. Also, as she's from Manhattan and grew up in an apartment, she, to quote her, doesn't know from houses. I love mom and dad, but these days I don't like them much. I mean, stop talking about the Bible and paper mache and deal with the pipes, why don't you? And also, why aren't you guys ever home when dad, your office is in Century City, and mom, your office is just down in Wilshire and you don't even work full time? I mean, I'm just asking. It's weird how your feelings about people change. Like when Charlot told me last week that he had a feeling that he was really a girl, despite the fact that he has a penis and looks like a boy. He says his therapist says that a lot of people make that decision to change their gender assignment. Can you even do that? Apparently, the answer is yes. Actually, my feelings about Charlot did change, but they changed for the better because I was so impressed by a 15-year-old person who says, I'm a girl, and who insists to themselves and the world, I don't care what's down below. What is below may or may not matter. In our immediate case, it matters. If the plumbing doesn't work and you can't take a dump and you can't take a shower and you can't wash the dishes, you can't do the laundry, and things smell and things back up. This happens to us a lot. The plumbing in our house is bad because our pipes are old. So the pipes leak stuff. We all know this. There are advantages to this seepage. Our next door neighbors who run an unlicensed daycare center complain that our roses are flourishing in our backyard while their lemons are dying, and they want to know our secret for making this weird desert ground that we have in LA actually grow something. What fertilizer are you using, and why are you such selfish people that you won't share? The neighbor asked my mother one day. Because the fertilizer we are using is our own shit, my mother told her in a somewhat snippy voice she just had with an emergency, because she just had an emergency in the autobiographical 3D collage exhibit with an artist from Vienna, and she was more than a little cranky. Fine, said the neighbor, don't tell us. Okay, I say to Tommy, I'll make a call.
Thank you so much, Lena. Oh my gosh, that was just amazing. I loved watching you. I've heard you read it, but it was just so amazing to watch you read it. It was great. Thank you so much. So everybody, that's the beginning of Pretend Plumber. That's how things get started. Admission, that neighbor was real, and I really did have that conversation with a neighbor. Anyhow, what I want to do now is I want to talk a little bit about how I got the idea to write this book in the first place. And that's something that people ask writers all the time. And my friends and family ask me all the time, well, how did you get the idea for this? Well, the idea for this book started out with fear and loathing. Not fear and loathing of Las Vegas, but fear and loathing of a dreaded practice in writing world known as the pitch. Those of you who are writers know, and poets don't have to do this so much, but prose writers know that if you have a big project, you got to be able to do something called a pitch, a 30-second, this is what my book is about, and this is why it's genius thing. I think almost everybody in this room knows I hate pitching. And I could spend the rest of this hour telling you all about why and giving you really good arguments for why it's a terrible thing, but I won't do that. But I will tell you the story of my complaining about having to do this because I had to do a pitch for my first novel in order to graduate from my MFA program. And I see my MFA compatriots going, oh yeah, we all had to do that. Well, again, most of the people in this room know that if I don't like something, I'm not going to just complain about it once. I'm going to complain about it a lot. As I have confessed to Rabbi Jill Zimmerman, I converted for the food and the complaining, and I take that carte blanche seriously. And so Mandy Manning got a lot of my complaining. I think she's here, but the person who was really on the receiving end of this is my wonderful friend, Janet Buttenwieser, who's a memoirist and now 1/2 of the way to becoming a lawyer. And she has very dulcet tones, unlike yours truly. And so rather than trying to recreate her tones, Janet, I'm going to ask you to unmute yourself and tell everybody the advice that you gave me when I said, Janet, I don't want to have to do this pitching.
Okay. Thank you so much, Stephanie. Hi, everybody. So we were in this pitching class together. And in my memory, you weren't the only one complaining. Stephanie came up with the idea that it would be easier to do this if instead of having to sum up this book length work that we'd been toiling over for years, we just made something up to pitch and pitched a made up story. And so Stephanie said, I'm going to pitch a pretend book about a plumber. And then she said, actually, I'm going to pitch a pretend book about a pretend plumber. And so I said, you should totally do that. You should pitch that book. And then you should write that book.
Thanks, Janet. Anyway, Janet, there's certain people that kind of give you permission to think certain kind of crazy thoughts. And Janet is one of those people. I get together with Janet. I was like, yeah, I'm going to write this pretend book. It's going to be a pretend book. It's going to be great. And I thought, yeah. And of course it's a pretend plumber book because my grandfather, my Seattle grandfather actually was a plumber and worked on the original Nordstrom. So I had kind of plumbing on my mind. And Larry and I have had these houses that have had continual plumbing problems. That is some weird curse that we seem to have. So that kind of came to mind. And then as it turned out, the lineup for the teacher changed at the last minute of the pitching class. And we got as our pitching teacher, Andrea Hurst, who was an agent at that time and who is the kindest person under the sun, who you could pitch, I'm writing a book about dog shit. And she would say, that's great. And are you thinking it's a collection of essays or it is a memoir? She'd be totally supportive of that plan. So I ended up pitching my actual first book to her. But this pretend plumber idea kind of stayed with me. And as I was editing The Puppet Turners, friends were doing NaNoWriMo, which is National Novel Writing Month in November. And I thought, I'm editing Puppet Turners. I don't have such a heavy course load. Okay, I'll try NaNoWriMo. I've never done it before. And if you have not done NaNoWriMo before, it's insane. You have to make this huge word count every day and get to, I don't remember if it's 70,000 words. I don't remember, or it might be only 40, which is still a huge amount. So I started writing this pretend novel. And of course I ran out of ideas very quickly. So I had Saracen already, and I had Charlus, the friend, and I had the grandfather, but I didn't know what else to do. So I threw in a rabbinical intern. I threw in an evangelical minister. There were spirits, of course. And then I kind of got completely I was like, I got to make the word count. I threw poems in there. I threw a short story that I couldn't get published in there. I had journaling in there, but I made the word count. So that was great. I got my little certificate. If you've never done NaNoWriMo, it's really, really a fun thing to do. And I really, I encourage you to take a whack at it because it is a fun thing. And then I forgot about the manuscript for about 7 years. I was busy publishing the Puppet Turners, and then I put out a how to write magical realism craft book, and I started working on what was going to be the sequel to the Puppet Turners. And I started that book a couple of times. One book was going to be a prequel. Another book was a sequel. And I got really stuck with that project. So it was around in 2019, I was sitting around feeling very sorry for myself in this office. And that's when I thought, oh yeah, that crazy book, that fake book that I talked to Janet about and that I wrote some. How bad was it? And I'm a walking testament, everybody. Don't throw it out, whatever it is. The shitty first drafts, that Annie Lamott talks about, don't throw it out. Keep it on the hard drive, transfer those floppy disks because you just never know. It may seem crappy at the time and maybe isn't. Anyhow, so I went back and said, how bad is it? Let's find out. So, well, of course, some of it was pretty bad, as it turned out. And it's like, okay, the rabbinical intern and the evangelical minister, that's not working really. But this girl, her, Saracine, who is this? Who are you, Saracine? And I wrote the rest of the book, and I just focused on her. And there are a bunch of wonderful writers in this room, very experienced, very successful writers. So you maybe know the experience of having somebody take over. I think that Joe Scott Coe had a little bit of that with listening to Kathy, although that's more memoir. But I had this person kind of take over, and she wasn't me. She wasn't anybody I knew. There were bits and pieces of her, as there are in all fiction, pulled from your real life, but she was her, very definitely. And I just wrote the book. And I certainly had to do lots of editing. And there were some, changes that I had to make in some of the plot points, although the general plot stayed the same. But it was a total pleasure to write because I really felt like I was taking dictation from Saracine herself. So that was really, really, really an awesome feeling. And it's a reason why you need to show up for the page, everybody, so that you can get to that and have that experience. So I'm going to stop talking, and I want you to experience another part of this novel that's a little bit further on. It's actually a crucial chapter known to those in the know as the Cohen chapter. But I want to tell you first a little bit what happens in the book before we get to this. This is chapter 17. And I have, because I'm really high tech, I have a synopsis taped to my screen because, I'm a baby boomer and I have about 16,000 pieces of paper, because you wouldn't expect me to be, completely paperless, would you? Okay, here's the synopsis. Saracine has been abducted to a Jewish summer camp for wayward youth. During the abduction, the camp counselors get Saracine mixed up with her friend Charlus Jackie, who is beginning their journey towards trans identity. Saracine masquerades as a non-binary teenager at the camp, but finds herself attracted to that identity in ways that she did not predict. In chapter 17, Saracine and some of her summer camp friends, Paige, Esther, Zach, Oscar, and Rusty, have just successfully escaped from the summer camp in a van. And so this is, everybody, the world premiere of the group reading of chapter 17 of Pretend Plumber. And I'm going to, this is going to be, for those of you who are Jewish, you're going to recognize this sort of call to the bima kind of experience. I'm going to introduce our first reader, and our first reader is Alexis Rhone Fancher.
Hello, lovely book, lovely evening. I love this format. Great hearing about how the book became the book. All right, chapter 17. We drive. The problem is, though, that Paige can only drive very slowly. So we have to avoid the freeway because we look too suspicious, and besides, Paige hasn't learned how to merge. Why would she? She's 14 and learned how to drive in Goshen, Indiana, when she went to visit a school friend's aunt, and her cousin's BFF took them driving at night for fun, and they smoked cigarettes. I think she kissed the BFF, but she's not talking, and I don't want to ask her.
Our next reader is Jane O'Shields Hayner.
Jane, you need to unmute.
Okay, I'll start again. We drive so very slowly for I'm not sure how long. Then we run out of gas. Oh, says Paige, I forgot to check the gas part. I'm used to driving electric. Rich kids. I have regained access to my traveler's checks, and we have the cash from the office drawer. But we don't know where a gas station is.
Our next reader is Gail Brandeis.
Paige has managed to pull over onto what I guess you call the armpit of the road. And together we managed to push the van into a driveway that says, B'nai Ahava Retirement Home. A handmade sign below it reads, FM certified. Oh God, I say, not more old Jewish people. They're the reason I'm here in the first place. We walk up to the kiosk, but there's no one there.
Our next reader is Bill Gaines.
There's a yellow Post-it that says check in here on a sheet that has boxes for you to put your name, your business, your license plate number, and the time you arrived. Hey, says Rusty, can we just say we're like a family? How about the Finkelsteins? How about the Cohens? Oscar says. Generic. We fill in the name the Cohens, but use the real license plate so no one calls the cops on the suspicious vehicle. It's late morning, but the place is really quiet. The old people must be having like water aerobics or physical therapy or something.
Our next reader is Kate Flannery.
We get Esther out of the car and we proceed quietly out of the parking lot and look at the signs for nurse's station, intensive care unit, and recreation center. Look, says Esther, there's a garage over there. They'll have gas there maybe, or can tell us where to get some. Wait, says Rusty, how do we explain ourselves as Cohens to the real Cohens? Stick to the truth as much as possible, Esther says. No, I say, if you're going to lie and you're a kid, you have to go big. Okay, genius, says Zach. Let's hear the lie.
Our next reader is Janet Buttenwieser.
What would Sir Toby say? I have it, I say. We got evacuated from our family compound up the road, and we're on our way to Santa Monica to get our aunt and uncle who are in the industry and who live on the beach. Ooh, can they be related to someone cool? Paige asks. No, I say. They're set designers and cinematographers and lighting people behind the scenes. Don't get into visibly famous people. That feels like too much of a stretch, and it's easy to check.
Our next reader is Christy Lynn Biluni.
So we're 3 boys, 2 girls, and 1 what? Says Zach. 1 undecided, I say, because I still have my Sam clothes on, and I have to remind myself that none of them know that I'm really just Saracene. And all I've got with me are Jackie's Charlot clothes. And at this point, I'm not sure I know who I am exactly either.
Our next reader is Marianne Perez.
Can we all be part of the Cohen family? Rusty keeps asking. It's stupid because we don't look alike, but it matters so much to him, and thus the lie gets a bit bigger, more spacious. Sure, I say, some of us are adopted, and some of us are from the first, second, and third marriages. That would explain why we're almost all around the same age. Or both, says Rusty. Exactly, I say. This is Southern California, and anything is possible here with families. So that means you keep your real last name, you just add Cohen onto it. Let's sound off, I say. Be bold.
Our next reader is Deborah Nadelman.
Just a minute, says Paige. I'm not comfortable with just adding Cohen to my last name. Why not? We all shout together. Because I'm not Ashkenazi, and my real name is Shirazi, and my Persian ancestors went through a lot of crap with the Shah to come here.
Our next reader is Melissa Shanahan Roussell.
New? What's with these fakakta categories? Okay, so it turns out that the word Ashkenazi refers to Jews who come from countries in Eastern Europe like Germany, Poland, and Russia. Jews from Spain are called Sephardim, and Jews from the Middle East sometimes identify as Mizrahi. Though Jews have emigrated all over the place, and these labels don't always fit the way you might think.
Our next reader is Liz Gonzalez.
What about Cohn-Bendit, the famous French leftist? Offers Zach. He's Sephardic. How does he know this stuff? No, he's not, says Paige. He's German, but all right. Bandandas. Cohen it is, which means, I say, bandandas is Persian for plucker of hairs. We look at her. You know, like waxing and threading.
Our next reader is Ruthie Marlene.
That's a cool word, says Rusty, and we're back in business. We all start thinking about what to do with the Cohen name to make it fun and interesting. Sound off, please, I shout, now that we've spent 15 minutes on the last name question. Paige Bandandas Cohen, first marriage. My mom is a hairstylist. Rusty Espinoza Cohen, second marriage. My mom works for Cirque du Soleil. Espinoza, Esther says, that's my Spanish teacher's name. I don't like to make a big deal about it, Rusty says, but I'm Latino technically. Why do you think I know all about La vida es sueño? What? It means life is a dream.
Our next reader is Cati Porter.
So Paige is Persian and Rusty is Latino? I squint. I never thought about how the other kids here may not all be exactly white. I mean, they're Jewish, so I kind of assumed. Spoken like a white person, Jackie would say if they were here. Esther interrupts my super uncomfortable line of thinking. Esther Kleinberg Cohen, third marriage. Wow, that's a Jewy name. My mom is a rabbi.
Our next reader is John Brantingham.
Oscar Rothschild Cohen, fourth marriage. I'm adopted. Zach Rothschild Cohen, fourth marriage. I'm adopted too. We're actual brothers. Nice touch, I say. And you do look alike. Sam Frankfurt Cohen, recently adopted. My birth mom was a painter. She gave me up because I interfered with her art. I like Sam Frankfurt Cohen, says Rusty. It sounds like a hot dog maker's name. I shake my head. Rusty. Okay, just act mature, says Zach.
Janine Pourroy Gamblin is our next reader.
Just speak in a lower voice, Oscar says to me. That'll make the non-binary thing seem more believable. Oscar seems to sense my act is bullshit, but I can't fix that now. So it's time, after all, for the Sir Toby voice. We walk in the garage, and what do you think we see? An old lady tied up, hanging upside down from the ceiling. Oi, she says, shouts really, in a kind of hard of hearing way. Sid, don't start yet. And to us, she says, hi, kids, don't worry. This isn't as bad as it looks.
And our final reader is Jill Davidson.
An old guy dressed in black pants comes out from behind a very shiny Rolls Royce. He's not wearing a shirt, and it's interesting to see someone that old with big tattoos of snakes and trees and crocodiles running up and down his saggy belly and chest. Also a lot of scarring, maybe from a war? God damn it, Sylvia. Oh, he says as he sees us. We all stand there looking at each other. Esther is still sitting, but for the first time since I've known her, she's at a loss for words. Zach squints at them for a moment. Then he puts his index finger in the air. I saw about this on YouTube, he says.
And that concludes our fabulous group reading. Can we have lots of silent applause for our readers? That was so amazing, everybody. Oh my gosh. It was at a certain point, I was like, okay, you've got to remember to cue everybody, because I just loved hearing all of your voices. And those interpretations were just fabulous. Thank you so much. That was great, great, great. Cati is about to make a couple of important announcements, but before she does that, since we are running ahead of schedule, which is great, I want you to just take a minute to look through, open up the chat box and look through it, and in particular, look for somebody else's remembrance of a pretend thing that they did when they were kids. You might need to expand the chat box a little bit to do that, but I want to give you just a few minutes to do that. You're in particular, I'm glad if you haven't done it yet, you should maybe just contribute. What was your favorite thing to pretend when you were a kid or when you were much younger? But I'm particularly interested in your looking at something that someone else remembers doing. And if you find one, either take a screenshot of it. Yes, I do know how to do that. And or write it down, because I'll give you a couple minutes. I see people looking very inquisitive and attentive. I'll just give you a couple of minutes to do that. I'm going to look too. Oh, someone loved pretending to be invisible. Oh, that's cool. Oh, I pretended I was nearly normal. That's a good one, Ken. I like it. Deborah, I didn't know you like to pretend to be invisible. And very tiny. These are great. Pretended to be Don Quixote, and my sister was the horse. Nice. Nice one, Muriel. Anyway, there's some great ones here. So I invite you to pick Don Quixote and the horse. That's wow. It's great when you get writers in the room, because you get great stuff. Yeah, so pick something. I pretended I could see my grandmother in my pendant and communicate with her. These are just fantastic. I'm glad we have access to all of this, but you want to, again, pick something. Ah, the Hanukkah reindeer. Thank you, Emily. Yes, I remember that. I was part of that pretending. Because I'm going to give you all, because once a professor, always a professor, right, John Gannam? I mean, this is just how it is. I'm going to give you a homework assignment. my party. I don't want to cry. I want to give you homework. So what I'd like you to do is take that pretending that was somebody else's and either write a poem or a short story about it. And then I really want you to post it in the comments of my blog. And my beautiful assistant Larry Barrett is going to post that link for you. And you can do that tonight or tomorrow. I'm willing to take, you can get an extension. You can take a couple of weeks if you need a couple of weeks. But I hope you'll do it. Thank you, Larry. Because these are great. I'm intrigued by the person whose sister, pretended to be Helen Keller. Oh yeah, that's an awfully good one. Okay, everybody. Well, I think what I'm going to do now is, should we do the giveaway or shall I thank people first? I can't remember what we decided.
Oh, I would say, how about I make the announcement and then while people are typing in the chat, you can thank people.
Perfect.
Okay. So I want to remind folks that if you pre-ordered, there is a secret word that you have to type into the chat so that you will get a free book. And that secret word is mitzvah. So if you didn't already type it in the chat, and I've recorded everybody who did, then let me know by putting it in the chat. And I see one that came in late. So I'm going to pop that on my list, but I'm going to save the chat later. But right now we're going to do a different giveaway that everybody who is here qualifies for. We have 53 people in this room, but 3 of us I don't think count. So we'll say 50. So type a number between 1 and 50 in the chat, and I'm going to use the random number generator, and we're going to have 4 giveaways. Okay, and Stephanie's going to, when she's done saying all the thank yous, I'll do the 4 giveaway random number generator things.
So great. This is like Vegas. It's like, the stuff is going and this is awesome. So I have lots of people that I want to thank. I really want to thank Cati Porter and the entire Inlandia team for their amazing support of this book. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. It's just been such a pleasure to work with you. And I also want to thank book designer Mark Givens, who had quite a job with this book because he had to create these information boxes and put them in these strategic places. And it's just a beautifully designed book. Thank you so much, Mark, who is also a publisher, who is also a rock star, who is also an author. He's one of those people. And then everybody, this photograph, please. Is it not the most fabulous thing you've ever seen? This is the art of Bill Gaines. And Bill, thank you so much for giving me permission to use your photograph. I need to write another book so that I can use another one of your photos. It just is perfect. It just makes the book. So thank you so much. I want to thank my blurbers, many of whom are here. Dr. Jill Davidson, thank you so much for your wonderful blurb. Dr. Jill has a fantastic memoir out called Undercover Girl that really takes you through what it's like to transition as an adult. Rabbi Jill Zimmerman, thank you so much for your beautiful blurb. Gail Brandeis, who is a New York Times best-selling author, gave me a wonderful blurb and did a beautiful reading. Christy Lynn Belluni is an amazing creative person and author of the Sexy Grammar website. Thank you so much, Christy. Thank you so much, wonderful Deborah Needleman, who I will be talking to in real time in the not too distant future about our books. I want to thank Stacy Levine, who's a fantastic writer. She's not here, but I want to give her a shout out. And finally, Ruthie Marlene. Thank you so much for your beautiful blurb, and looking forward to talking with you about our books at Chevalier's in June. That's actually going to happen. And then my husband Larry says that no matter what you do, you always forget somebody. You always forget to thank somebody, so that I should forget to thank him, so no one else will feel bad. So here I am officially forgetting to thank Larry Barrett. But I do want to thank my favorite person and the most intelligent and interesting person I know, my spawn, Lillian Barrett. I also want to thank my brilliant sister-in-law, Judy Barrett, her husband, Dave Bariff. They were among my first readers ever. Such loyal, wonderful family. Emily Bariff, the Copps family, the Bar Cohens family, because there are actual Cohens in our family. And I want to send my love to Robert Murphy, to Robert Gross, to Andrea Grossman, the one and only maven of all things literary in LA. And I'm sure there are lots of other people, but while I'm trying to remember who they are, I'm going to lift a pretend martini glass, I promise, to a real pretender, namely my father, Leonard Hammer, who would have been 104 today. Not a big business success, lots of issues, but someone who knew how to pretend. He was a wonderful pretender, and one of his big success stories was being a pretend Princeton graduate, which he did with such success that the Princeton Club broke down and made him a member. So here's to you, Dad. Thanks for teaching me how to pretend. And with that, back to the giveaway. Katie, what have you got for us?
All right. So I'm going to go to the random number generator. And so we don't have a drum roll, so I don't know if you can hear that. The first winner is number 39. I'm scrolling back to see who, if anybody said 39. Oh, and somebody said this is the best book party ever. I would say yes, indeed. But I don't see a 39. Oh, yeah, we do. Susan Waters. So yay, Susan Waters is
my neighbor.
Oh, hi. Okay. So I'm putting you down as giveaway winner number 1. Okay, here we go again. This time we'll just do it again. Number 5. Okay, do we have any 5s? Scrolling. I see a 6, I see a 4. Anybody? 7, 8. Okay, doing it again. Skipping that one. 28. Do we have a 28 in the room? Okay. Scrolling back. If you know you type 28, just put your name in so that I know who you are.
Kim Lundstrom.
Kim. Okay. Yay. Congratulations, Kim. Okay.
Hooray for Kim.
2 more. Here we go. Number 1. Anybody in number 1? This is totally random. I mean, whoever picks 1.
I did.
Did anybody pick 1?
I did.
You did. Who's you? Speak up.
John.
Oh, Brantingham. Yes or Ganem? Which
Brantingham.
John? Hi, John. I can't see you because I'm looking at a number generator. Okay. John, yay. Okay. So you're winner number 3. Okay, one more. Here we go. 42, the meaning of the universe. Who is 42?
I think that was
Somebody?
me. Gay.
Oh, Thompson. Who? Okay. So who is Thompson? Is
Yes, we're here.
you there? All right.
I think I
Okay.
heard 42
42s
also.
because it's life, the universe, and
did.
everything.
Oh, did we have multiple 42s? That's okay. Who's the
Yeah.
other 42?
Gay.
Okay. Gay. Okay. So then you'll get one too.
Fun, fun.
That's only fair. And who else? Is that it? Any other 42s?
42 also.
Okay. Say your name so I can, because I don't see you.
Muriel.
Muriel. Okay. Got it.
Also Bill Gaines.
Also Bill Gaines.
Whoa,
Okay.
42 was a hot number, wasn't it? Wow.
So we've got 4 winners. Okay. Well, whoever picked 42 was you guys were the bonus book people. It's magic. Okay. Muriel, Bill, Gay, and then Thompson. So, okay. Yay. Thank you. Any last words and congratulations to our winners. I will reach out to you for addresses.
Awesome. Just like maybe a couple of things for those of you who would like to experience me live. I'll be talking with the amazing Deborah Needleman about our books in Coopville on May 28th at 2 p.m. Please join us. We have a lovely local bookstore, and the actual SoCal launch for Pretend Plumber will be June 2nd at 6 p.m. Is it, Katie? You're muted.
I'm on mute. Yes. 6 p.m. in Riverside at the Riverside Public Library.
Great. Outside.
Outside.
So please join us for those events and stay tuned for more info about the virtual bookstore event with Chevaliers, which is also coming up in June. Okay, everybody, that does it. Congratulations to all the winners. Thank you so much to the readers, and thank you so much for being here.
Yep. Thank you.